wonderful good day everybody, and welcome back here to my channel, God Shadow, with new Grixis control content. And as you can see, I have made a couple of changes here to my deck list again, and I think now I am actually quite adept to the current modern metagame. So let me go over it. So first of all, we got rid of most of our fatal pushes, so we're playing 2 fatal pushes before and Cling to Dust, which have now become Inquisition and Thoughtseize again. I left in 1 fatal push. I'll go over why in just a second. Other than that, on the 1-drop slot, I also exchanged Thought Scour for Serum Visions again. We're still playing Tasker, but Thought Scour isn't as good as Serum Visions without access to either Croxa or Cling to Dust to facilitate a couple of additional spells that you could cast in theory from the graveyard. But Uru has been less prominent, and so, or other graveyard based decks, aside from maybe Dredge, and therefore we don't need the incidental graveyard hate anymore. On the contrary, it is actively bad against big mana decks such as Primeval Titan or Tron, Eldrazi Tron, all these types of decks, where you just can't utilize them anymore. So instead of having these dead cards, I wanted to have more disruption again, but because mono red prowess, burn, and some sort of blue red Xerox deck or tempo deck are trying to capitalize on the big mana meta, I didn't want to go too far with 2 Thoughtseizes, because most of the time, like the second Thoughtseize I draw is just really bad and costs me more in terms of life total than anything else. Therefore, 1 Thoughtseize is fine, 1 Fatal Push for these exact types of decks as well. And then other than that, we have Serum Visions to just get faster to our important spells again and have less floods or times where you just can't draw any mana at all. So, because otherwise, like with the Thought Scour in hand, I mostly cannot keep 1 mana hands or 2 mana hands, unless I have other good cards that I can play for the first 2, 3, 4 turns, because it's so unreliable. With Serum Visions, that's a little different. If I have a good 2-color spell, 2-color land in my opening hand, then most of the time, especially on the draw, I can make it work with Serum Visions. Alright, so then Tasker is still a good card right now, especially as a cheap blocker. Like if I, for the first couple of turns, I just bolt, push, or discard stuff, filling my own graveyard while I'm also filling my opponent's graveyard. Then Tasker can still come down for like 1 or 2 mana, sometimes 3 mana on turn 3 if I don't have anything else or better to do in that turn. And it's still a very cheap, very good option for us that provides value in the mid-range and the control matchups, but also a lot of pressure, and most importantly, just a big cheap blocker against these mono red decks. Since I'm playing Tasker and also to a certain degree Bone Crusher Giants, the matchup against mono red has really flipped. So before it was always a struggle to beat them, but now with Tasker being a blocker that they have to take care of, and also the additional removal with Bone Crusher Giant, etc., it's just become a way more dual matchup than before, and same goes for Burn, etc. Sometimes, of course, and especially if you're drawing both copies of Tasker, it is a little bit clunky, but for the most part, it just fits right in, even without Thought Scour. Then the 2-drop slots mostly remained the same. It's just removal, a little bit of card advantage, card filtering with Jace, etc. And then 4 Bone Crusher Giants. So Bone Crusher Giant in general is atypical for me because it is a little bit too much brute force, but it is right now exactly what we need. So we need to stop Eldrazi. We need to have multiple modes, like we need to generate a card advantage on multiple axes without being able to fall behind by our opponents just churning out threat after threat. So in combination with Fatal Push, Drownaloch, Terminate, and also Lightning Bolt, Bone Crusher Giant really bridges a gap that the deck had before. Now I can burn my opponents out better. I do have additional removal, light removal I call it, for the first couple of turns, whereas Fatal Push, but mostly Drownaloch and Terminate, can take care of really big threats. And this way it's really difficult for our opponent to have something stick to the battlefield, while also not being too clunky, because at 3 mana it's still a very viable option, and even if my opponent can remove it with a spell, they still take a little bit of damage. So overall, the value package of Bone Crusher Giant cannot be understated, or overstated in this case, and it's just a very good addition to the deck, I think. And currently, due to the fact that Brazen Borer and Nimble Obstructionist with their 1 toughness are just so bad against Red and 6, against Lava Dart, against so many, also against Plague Engineer, which some decks bring in against me, and therefore Bone Crusher Giant just adds another layer of threat and also answer to my deck, which I like a lot. And it's also good in most matchups, like having a clock most of the time doesn't hurt, and it is big enough without being dependable or dependent on the graveyard. That is also very important. Like, I need threats that, like, other than Tasker, which I won't be able to cast for, you know, an eternity if my opponent has a Rest in Peace or something like that on the battlefield, then I can still go with Bone Crusher Giants, etc. to just get there really quickly. Then in regards to the sideboard, alright, in regards to the sideboard, I made a couple of substantial changes here. So first and foremost, Ether Gust and Goblin Crater Maker. A couple of months back, when Primeval Titan was dominating the format in combination with Once Upon a Time, Ether Gust was already on the menu, and a couple of you in the comments suggested it being put in back into the game due to Cavern of Souls being a thing, and also Veil of Summer to a certain degree. And I do agree, it should be in the deck, in the sideboard, in combination with Ashiok and Fulminator Mage. So most of the time, just having access to Ashiok or just having access to Fulminator Mage isn't enough to beat Primeval Titan. You have to have a combination of cards, counterspells, land destruction, and a card that just blocks their entire deck. And even then, if they hit a Field of the Dead by accident, it can become problematic. But these 6 cards give us the best shot of beating a Primeval Titan deck without committing too many resources into one specific card, because additional copies of Ashiok, of course, are not great if you're stuck with 2, 3, 4 copies in your hand, or 1 on the battlefield, 3 in hand. That is bad, of course, and therefore having access to Ether Gust and then milling something over with Ashiok once they put it back on top, or Fulminator Mage getting that 1 extra turn to destroying that Cavern of Souls, then freeing up other counterspells, is actually quite relevant, and therefore I like this package. I felt like I have improved my Titan matchup significantly, while also, and this is important, Fulminator Mage, of course, being weak to Veil of Summer, but it is still the best land destruction spell that we have access to. Primeval Titan most of the time doesn't even bring in Veil of Summer, it's more the other combo decks and Tron, etc. But Fulminator Mage also is very good against Eldrazi Tron, and there is where I need it, because some of their lands like Seagate Wreckage, etc., just provide consistent card advantage over the course of the game, and without having access to Fulminator Mage, I just fall behind at some point, because it's inevitable. And otherwise I have to get cheeky, like bouncing a land end of turn and then K commanding it away, something like that. So then there is Goblin Crater Maker. Goblin Crater Maker is a card that you mostly run in Goblins, of course, but I have also utilized it in Red-White Death and Taxes because it's just so great against creature decks that are dependent on Ether Vial, of course. It's great against Stoneforge Mystic, but most importantly, it destroys every single non-land permanent in Eldrazi Tron. And for that matter, and of course we can recur it as we can with all the creatures with K command, and therefore Goblin Crater Maker is just a machine gun against Eldrazi Tron, and that is a matchup that I still needed to refine a little bit. And I think Goblin Crater Maker gives me the options that I need for that matchup, both in the mid and late game, especially now that they have adopted this strange book, Mesmerizing Tomb or something like that. And so, for the most part, they are a little bit slower, a little bit more consistent, and some have cut the Seagate wreckage in favor of playing that as their additional core advantage engine. So, Goblin Crater Maker can, of course, also get rid of that and the Planeswalkers. So, overall, just a very good addition. I think it's the right card here for the two drop slot. And then in regards to the 1 mana, so right now there is not a whole lot of graveyard based strategies in Modern. There is Dredge, which is, well, hiding in the shadows for the most part, and then once at a time, or once every couple of weeks, it lurks out of the shadows and jumps to the top into the top 8 of a Modern challenge with like 4 to 5 copies or something like that, because people are just generally underprepared. And I do agree, like we are also underprepared here. We're not playing Jigsaw Jailer whatsoever, but we do have a couple of tools. Ashiok, of course, being good against the deck, but pretty slow. So I wanted to have a little bit of additional interaction here. Surgical Extraction, of course, does a little bit, but then there's also Plague Engineer, and of course, um, just having a little bit more threats here. Sometimes we can also just run them over with like Taskers and Bonecrusher Giants. I've done it, I think, last week, where I dealt like 16 damage in one turn, just backed up by Cryptic Command, and yeah. So you can also win those matchups, but of course, Dredge is really, really tough. And if you want to improve the matchup, then you can, of course, go with more Surgical, Secret Jailer, or alternatively with 2 main board, Cling to Dust. It's not the best spell against Dredge, but you have a little bit of play game 1 then, and as soon as you get the other types of interaction here, you just have a pretty well-versed deck that has interaction on all converted mana costs here. Uh, Grim Lavamancer is a card that I just like in certain matchups because it provides card advantage and also regulates my own graveyard. So whenever I'm playing against like Mill or I don't know, there are a couple of decks where or Tarmogoyf decks where you just want to have access to what you're doing with your own graveyard at all times to avoid surgical extraction, to avoid um, what's the 1 mana blue spell called? Something with dreams, I think. Whatever. Um, and then as the last card, there's Flusterstorm. Flusterstorm just being a good card against a very niche archetype. Of course, Storm itself, sometimes it's good against certain burn or Xerox strategies, but for the most part, just having a little bit more interaction against um, Storm is important for me due to the fact that like in the other iteration that I just showed, there's 4 giants and 4 K commands, and no counterspells on turn 3. So just having a little bit of sideboard interaction for that matchup also goes a long way. So yeah, overall I think the sideboard is pretty well versed. The surgical extraction could also become another fatal push. Flusterstorm could also be a ceremonious rejection, and I guess the Grim Lavamancer could be anything. But right now, I feel like it is pretty well versed and can beat almost anything. I'm pretty happy with the deck in the current format. So I also just 5-0'd. So if you want to try the deck, I can only recommend it. Yeah, so let's jump into League and see where it takes us. Alright, welcome to round number 1. This is not a keepable hand. And this is quite alright. So we have quite a bit of cheap interaction here. I do not know if I want to keep the Tasker. Like, we can probably get there pretty quickly, like on turn 3, we might have Tasker, but I'm gonna drop it here because we don't have any fetch lands. Alright, so if we're playing against Ponza here. I think I have to start off with an Inquisition, especially now with the second one. That makes my next turn a little bit better. I'm definitely taking red at 6 here. And then he won't be able to go with Blood Braids. I mean, red and 6 doesn't do anything here yet. But still, that's the card that I want to take. Because now I assume that he's gonna place the other Utopia Sprawl, yes, on that forest as well. So if he gets stuck here for a bit, he needs to find more. Oh my goodness. That is extremely lucky. Extremely lucky. Alright, so I'm going to fetch shock here. Because the Bloodbraid Elf is going to come rumbling in next turn. I think I want to have both of these. Because the Bone Crusher Giant can take care of the other Bloodbraid Elf. Just depends what else he's going to draw there. Yeah, let's put top. Clothis was an insanely good draw there off the top. Because we, for the most part, won't be able to get rid of it. And yeah, just keeps drawing good stuff here. So obviously you need to get rid of the Bloodbraid Elf here. Cloth is not to be a thing. Alright, so let's see. Clothis is at least gonna get so might have to play Terminate to next turn be able to play the Tasker. I don't dislike the Jace, but I think I'm gonna put the Jace on bottom, Tasker on top. And I'm just gonna get rid of the thing here while I can. And now it depends, of course. Like if he draws a Bloodbraid Elf, He does have a Bloodbraid Elf. If he does draw something else with like a permanent, then Clothis is online, and then I really have a problem. Another Clothis. That is actually pretty okay. So by itself, the Bloodbraid Elf doesn't activate the Clothis. But it is not great. Like, without Clothis, I think this matchup wouldn't have been a problem. Like, we would have been able to deal with everything. But now we're down to 6, and this might be a dragon. Any permanent here. Yeah. So we definitely want to bring in Ether Gust here. Archmage Charm is a little bit too much for this matchup. I think Plague Engineer is also something that I want to have. Excuse me. Alright, I'm good again. So on the play this time around, and we do have a decent hand that I can keep with the ability to fetch a couple of basics. I'm gonna go with a Scalding Tarn here as a first, because I want to be able to fetch at least one Swamp here and potentially the other one as basic, but this has to be a Steam Vents. So he's already fetching for basics here, so I expect stuff to happen. Just being a little bit cautious here, but our Pollute Delta can fetch for another basic island, and then we basically have access to everything in our deck. So very much depends here. I think that I'm gonna go with a Bone Crusher Giant here. I could, of course, also in response to his fetch do something. And go with the K command. But he's very likely gonna tap out next turn anyway for either Clothis or Blood Moon. Clothis would be a problem, of course. Let's just see. Let's wait for a turn. If he fetches, I'm gonna get rid of the relic here. I let it pass because I expect it to be a 3-mana spell and then it can still decide. If it's a Clothis, I need to counter it. Otherwise, like if it's a Blood Moon, I can just go with the K command. Hmm. Could have, of course, also forced the issue here, letting him resolve the ooze, and then go with either one or the other. But again, I think it is fine here to do it this way. I'm gonna wait again. Because this 1 mana could also represent a lightning bolt, of course, and if that were to be the case, then I'm losing a lot of tempo. Alright, so here comes the Blood Braid, which means now I can get rid of the relic. The Utopia Sprawl is okay, because it doesn't provide any additional mana here. And now we're gonna get rid of these 2 things. So now the best play my opponent can have is probably a Glory Bringer, killing the Bone Crusher Giant. And there it is. Yep. And getting a little bit of additional black sources here. And Tesker is not a bad card at all. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 1. How much do I need these 2 right now? I need to find a solution to the Glory Bringer anyway. And I'm gonna go after the elemental tokens. So the good thing is Glory Bringer cannot kill my Tasker. At least not without the help of an additional lightning bolt. So now I let's see. So we're attacking for more than he is, which is good, especially if he needs to kill the Plague Engineer first. But I could now leave mana open for the Tasker. Or alternatively, I could also go with Serum Visions, Snap, Serum Visions, try to find a removal spell in time, and I think that is a little bit better. Okay, that's not it. None of this is. I guess the lightning bolt would be to a certain degree. So since my opponent's not playing anything and left a mana open their last turn, so definitely this to the bottom. I'm not sure about the lightning bolt here. Can I raise him? I think I can, potentially. Let's have a look what our opponent is dealing with. Go down to 10, unless there's a Veil of Summer. Okay, Random 6 is actually a good card to get here. And then I think I'm still just gonna plant my Snapcaster Mage and draw next card, which is a Lightning Bolt, which puts him down to a virtual 8. Yeah, perfect. And then I get exactly the 2 cards that I wanted to have here. And that's why I love Seven Visions, or like, of course, Preordain would even be better, but Seven Visions is a very good card indeed. So let's see. So if he exerts the Glorybringer, which I think he must. Okay. Maybe he mustn't. Otherwise, we just have him dead here. Especially with the Cryptic Command backup. Alright. So the thing is, on the draw, I really don't want to have a Thoughtseize. It can be good at times, but it really puts strain. Like, most of the time we're racing at some point, and therefore Thoughtseize really is tempo for my opponent. So instead, I think I could be going with the Jays, but I think a Grim Lavamancer here could actually, well, it does bring in relics, of course. Otherwise, that play would be better. Alright, let's go with one Jace. Yep. We do have a couple of decent plays here. Aethergust can get rid of a Blood Moon in case that should happen. Cryptic Command could, of course, take care of something like that down the road. So typically I would love to start with a Creeping Torpid here, but I just don't think I can afford it. Because if we're running into Blood Moon, then we won't be able to answer it anymore. Schools, sure. Schools and a relic. Okay. So as long as there's no creature in the graveyard, Schools is not a big deal. I'm gonna... So this fetches for a basic anyway. Therefore it doesn't really matter if I do it now or next turn. Seamats is not the worst card to draw here, because it allows us to turn 4 Cryptic Command. Pillage. Alright. So I could, of course, just go ahead and Ether Gust it here. And he wouldn't be able to do anything about it. But then next turn we have the same problem, and our Logic Knot will only be adding 1 mana to the counter mechanics, so I think we're just gonna get rid of that here instead. Alright, that's now actively good for us, because that means that he might be low on threats. That's not so great though. Lightning Bolt is mostly irrelevant, but I cannot do anything about the Bloodbraid Elf right now. Like, Ether Gusting it certainly isn't the greatest thing to do. Now we're already down to 9 life if I let it through. And then we're hard pressed to find another answer. Okay. Just in order to get us a little bit of time, I'm gonna gust here. I don't see another option. And if I need to, I can just throw the Bone Crusher Giant in the way right now. But optimally, I would like to draw a removal spell, of course. Yeah, put the card on top, of course. Ah. Ah. Put on top, put on bottom. Play the Scalding Tarn, keep up the Logic Knot, and then try to, I don't know, hopefully he gets like a Utopia Sprawl or something that we don't necessarily need to counter. Yeah, like an Arbor Elf, which is fine as well. And then I'm just gonna go after the Bloodbraid Elf here. And then next turn I do have access to Cryptic Commands. He could of course also, like, he doesn't have additional lands here apparently. So I could also just bounce the Forest, getting rid of the Utopia Sprawl altogether, but I might also do that later on. Because he still does have access to 4 mana, of course. And there's, I expect to be another Bloodbraid Elf coming our way. Okay. It's definitely something else. Yeah. Counter, and I think we're gonna return the land and hope that our opponent doesn't have Veil of Summer in hand. Okay, so there are 2 creatures in the bin right now, right? I don't actually know, like, it should of course not be a creature. I could also go after the Bloodbraid Elf. After the Arbor Elf. But that would infinitely grow the ooze. I can still bounce it, I guess. Yeah, I think Clothis is just an enchantment. No, it's a legendary enchantment creature. It has to be both. And another Utopia Spore. So for the time being, that is not such a big deal. Now I really have to plan my next turn though. So I could of course bounce the Utopia Sprawl. But I would like to have another red source so that I can get rid of the ooze and the Arbor Elf in one swoop. Then I would leave him with 3 mana. That would be great. But I think I'm going to counter draw here. Huh. Alright, let's have a look real quick what we're dealing with. There's a Glorybringer. Glorybringer is a big issue. So you need land in order to get there. But we will have an answer after that. Oh no, he doesn't need another land. He needs another land if I kill the Arbor Elf. Otherwise, he just has it. And I cannot Logic Knot because of the Scavenging Ooze. Therefore, I think the best option here right now is I'm going to look at what we're going to draw with the Snapcaster Mage. Okay, so I don't need the Inquisition. Snap itself, I think, is alright. And then we're going to kill that. Then we're down to 4, which isn't great, of course, especially since we don't pack any life gain in the board. Except for potentially Brutality, but we don't play Brutality in here. So here comes the Glorybringer. Okay. So I think we're blocking here. then killing the Glorybringer, and just playing the Jace out. And now it's a little up to what he top decks here. Okay, so that's a good top deck for us. Now I think we have a chance. We already churned through like 2 Blood Braids and a couple of other stuff. Ultimately, I need to find another counterspell though to protect my Bone Crusher Giants. I need to get them on the battlefield. He can play basically anything he draws. And of course, if he draws a Glorybringer, I'm just dead. Which isn't great as well. But I also can't give him too much. Oh, that's really good. That is really, really good here. Okay, so I need to have the Snapcaster Mage, therefore I need to drop the Bone Crusher Giant. Play the other Bone Crusher. And then tick up the Jace and just pass a turn. And then Jace can help us either remove something that I don't want to spend the Snapcaster Mage on. Okay, just land. Okay. Plague Engineer is also good. Not super great, of course, but good. And now, since I'm gonna counter the Pyromancer if it comes up, might be inclined to just go. No, I'm still gonna go with Elemental. I think that's probably. Okay, so now he's down to 12. We have 6 damage on the board, plus Torpid, plus Jace Lightning Bolt, which would be lethal at that point. That's exactly what I meant. So we're gonna counter it. He can't do it this turn, but next turn he would have been able to get the tokens, but now we should have lethal, right? 6, 9, 12, yeah. Alright. Good games, pretty close, but we got there. Alright, off to round number 2. Alright, welcome to round number 2. Our opponent's on a Lurrus deck. So potentially Burn or Prowess or something in between. Our hands up, it's not great, but we do have 2 Serum Visions and we have a removal spell in Bone Crusher Giant. Therefore, I am going to keep it. We are on the play. I think it's good enough because I do have a turn 2 play either way. No, and no. I could have gone, of course, with the Lightning Bolt there to have a potential turn 2 Lightning Bolt plus Serum Visions. Especially against a Sliver deck. A flanking Sliver here. Ooh. I mean, I do have both Bone Crusher Giants, therefore I can take a turn off. See if he plays like the what sliver he's going to play here. We do have a sliver player on the server as well. Alright, let's kill that one. Obviously our counter spells are just really bad right now. And I can't do anything here against the Unsettled Marina, as long as that's the case. The Tasker itself, I mean, it's not bad in general. It's not great either at this point. I am going to bottom it and go with the Scalding Tarn here. Alright, plays a Mutavault. And now we shall see if he is going to play a Lord. Because a Lord would significantly slow us down. Then I would have to kill the Lord first or bounce the Lord or whatever. And only after that I could go and get rid of the Unsettled Marina. Unsettled Marina, by the way, probably one of the strongest cards in Slivers. It's so strong in that deck. Alright, this is a Lord. Yep. Predator, Sliver. Okay, so now I have multiple options here. What I could do is I could play a Bone Crusher Giant, but these things have first strike, so another Lord here, and I do have a real problem. So I'm gonna wait out, see what he does, potentially kill the Lord. Okay, that's gonna be a lot of damage. Yes, that's definitely gonna be a lot of damage. Alright. So since the things have first strike, I also can't rely on Brazen Burrow here to do anything. So yeah. So we're gonna take 5, 7, 9 damage. And then I have to get rid of the Unsettled Marina still, so if we don't draw a land. I could of course go with the Cryptic Command, hope to draw land. To kill Lord and then potentially go after something else. Because otherwise, yeah. Let's do that. Because this does not seem like a great spot for us. Just killing the Lord here doesn't do anything. Oh my goodness. Well, at least we can get rid of the Unsettled Marina now. The Lord probably still has to be the main primary target. Unsettled Marina. Without this card, all of his creatures would have been dead already. Yeah. pretty strong. It's basically a Lord as well. So I think that makes it 12 Lords. Well, just gonna go with the Bone Crusher Giant here. So 6, 8, 10, 12, down to 4. It's gonna be difficult from here out. Okay, I'm gonna cut all the shenanigans here. This one comes in, this one comes in, this one goes out. Ether Gas can be good at times. Maya Triton probably not super great here, due to the fact that my opponent's creatures mostly have first strike, flanking, or flying. But sometimes it can be good. I think I'm going to cut one Tasker for the same reason, like it's being overflown by for the most part. And that should be it. So we do have a lot of removal. We do have a big gun in Plague Engineer. And Golden Crater Maker is also really good here in the matchup. Ether Vials should not be a problem. He's playing a very aggressive list as well. So Lurus here tells me that there is no Frantic Sliver, which can be problematic at times. Like, I would like to keep the hand, especially because of the Jace, but I just cannot wait a turn, or take out a turn. So, yeah. So I'm gonna start off with a Scalding Tarn. I don't want to have a turn 2 play for the most part, so I'm just gonna fetch it for... Yeah, alright. This one. Then it's irrelevant anyway. But I didn't want to fetch Shock here. So, yeah, that's there. Plague Engineer is very good. So, I think I'm going to start off with the Plague Engineer first, because it gets rid of a couple of smaller creatures. Okay, yeah. Then I don't have to waste my Lightning Bolt here right now. Go with just with the Black Swords for Kalitas. And kill the leeches. Yeah, Sliver seems to be right. So then next turn we're gonna go after the Ether Vial. The only thing we have to be careful about is our opponent's finding an unsettled marina again. Soul Guide Lantern. Interesting. I think Smosh is actually one of the... I think I've seen it somewhere. Most predominant. So let's see. I want to lure out a creature here, if possible. Because he has to start off with a Lord here, otherwise he can't play any other slivers. Yep. Alright, waiting for that. Hope that it's not an Unsettled Marina. Good. Destroy target artifact and go that. And that should do it, I think. Now it's really, really tough for our opponent to get back into the game here. The Lures of the Dream Den, sure. Right, and this one tapped, this one comes in, we have a Lightning Bolt up, and yeah, we should have this game. So this one should be quite over. And then it's all about the third game, in which our opponent will probably be pretty fast again. So I assume he's gonna go with the Soul Guide Lantern again or whatever. Maybe even my Ether Vial here. Yep. And it's interesting, like having Lurus in here is probably the right call. Oh my goodness. I clicked beyond the combat step there. But it doesn't matter, like our opponent can't do anything. That's non-settled marina. Yep. This way we're getting all the damage in. And we even have a backup copy here. But our opponent's not giving up for some reason. Gotta give him that. GG's. Alright. So now on the draw, I'm gonna get rid of the Jace. For two reasons. On the one hand, of course, it's very slow. On the other hand, though, and this is more important, the Unsettled Marina does prevent abilities as well. And therefore, I cannot even uptick the Jace on as long as there's an Unsettled Marina on the battlefield. So the hand's not bad. We do have Goblin Crater Maker. I fear it is too slow, because Goblin Crater Maker is a turn 3 play as well. But my opponent's on a mulligan here, so I'm gonna keep. Also, our mana is okay, so I can fetch for a basic island here, then have double red turn 2 anyway. And we do have a lot of removal spells. Also, Aether Vial, alright, gives us at least a turn here. Yeah, I think I want to go with this first. Island. Alright. Bottom. Certainly not what we wanted to see here. 3 lands on top. And that's what I mean, like, if I add target my opponent here to with a Thought Scour to potentially facilitate my Drown Loch. Dude. The fuck's going on? Alright, Crater Maker. Yeah, as I said, like Crater Maker is a really good card because it can fill multiple roads here. Can get rid of the Aether Vial. It can't block right now because of the Cloud Shredder, of course. But we shall see. As long as my opponent doesn't have an Unsettled Marina here off the top, I think we're in pretty decent shape still. Everything but an Unsettled Marina is fine, I think. Yeah, that's annoying as well. It does have something. Alright, just need the well. Okay. Let's see. So I need to get rid of the Cloud Shredder because of the haste. And if I get, yeah, so then he can't utilize the Mutavolt unless that happens. So I can do that. And then I could bounce the other Ether Vial next turn. So that's fine as well. I could have gone with the Swamp here, but I do actively want the Black Crypt to be on the battlefield. So I could of course also return the Crater Maker, but I can do that at some other point as well. Yep, this one and this one. Because I want him to utilize his mana so that he can't also have access to lures at the same time. And then 2 turns from now. Okay. Right. So we're just gonna take 2 damage here. Perfect. That is really good. Okay. So I think I'm just gonna get rid of the Predator here. There's not a whole lot that he can find, of course. But I think I'm still gonna do it. Okay, so the flanking prevents me from blocking anyway. Like I could have. Okay. Okay, makes sense. But now I can go petty theft here. Get rid of that. Take 3. Fetch for a water grave here. Damn it. Then. So flanking is still super annoying for my Snapcaster, of course. But I would, to a certain degree, like to get the Goblin Crater Maker as well. But I think the play is. Oops. Shit. Maybe I have to get rid of the Sliver though. That will open me up to a Lurist. But the flanking is so fucking annoying. Do I need to fetch the Crater Maker? Yeah, we're gonna go this way. It's not perfect due to Lurus, but we still have two turns here. And I need to get rid of flanking, otherwise my Snapcaster Mage cannot even block anything. And well, that would be at least as bad. So he didn't go with an uptick on the Ether Vial, which is strange to me because otherwise he could have just paid for the Lurus and played it. Did so anyway. But now we need to find something off the top. Like, and it doesn't even matter what it is. Like a removal spell is good. K command would be perfect. Tasker. Tasker is fine, I guess. It's okay. Not super bad. Okay. So 2, 3, 4. And now it's the question: do we go for a Goblin Crater Maker or do we just go for the Lightning Bolt? Lightning Bolt is something that we could use instantaneously, of course. The Goblin Crater Maker would be a little bit slower. Okay. So now he has to take up the vial though, right? Because otherwise it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Yep. There is Lurrus of the Dream Den. The good thing is that our Tasker also provides card advantage from the bin now. Like, Lurrus is still very good here. But we can now utilize our tremendous amounts of mana here to also get towards something. Alright, let's see what we're gonna draw here. Ether Gust. Okay. It's not great, but it's fine, I guess. Yeah. Because Ether Gust can only, like, temporarily get rid of the Predatory Sliver. Probably the worst draw in all of our deck. But, as I said, like, it's still okay. So 4, then I won't be able to do anything else. Our opponent's also at 12. Like, what do I have to do? The Cloud Shredder Sliver is, of course, the most egregious. But he doesn't have First Strike and he doesn't have Flanking just yet. So, I might just want to go with a double Brazen Bara here by the end of turn and attack him. We shall see. Like, Ether Gas and Brazen Bara still gives me a little bit of leverage here. Yeah. And he doesn't have, like, he can't utilize the Ether Vial anymore. He has to play everything with his mana. And he knows about my Ether Gust, therefore, like, he can't really attack here. He really cannot. And if he does... Okay. Things are going to die. Interesting. Maybe I want to Ether Gust that. Because he has to put it back on top. And then know what's going to happen then. Now maybe I should have used the Tasker before I just did that. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. They both still die. This is good because now the Mutavault is gone, and that means that there's just one creature a turn, basically. And I could also balance the Ether Vial, but that also doesn't seem to be great. Maya Triton. Okay. Maya Triton at least gives me a little bit of life back. Yep. So that means that there's only the Signbinder Sliver that he can cast out of the Lurus. Or nothing at all. Oh no, it's a cat. Alright, that's actually pretty good. Either way. So, boop. And then I can just bounce the Maya Triton again. The Cloud Shredder. Or alternatively, no, I'm just gonna take the safer route here. Bounce the Cloud Shredder. And now I'm gonna attack with both. He has to block with the Lurus. And I do have Brazen Bora and Inquisition backup. So I think we should have it here. Yeah. So now that's gone as well. We're gonna take the Cloud Shredder. Don't really care about anything else. Put top, put top. This one tapped. Now my Triton is of course a little bit fucked. Because we're putting two good cards to the bin, but doesn't really matter at this point. And it's still too early, like I'm actually making some sequencing mistakes here. I mean, it doesn't matter at this point, but I still shouldn't do them. Or shouldn't make them. But this is GG. Yeah. Alright, GG's.
Alright, welcome to round number 3. Our opponent's playing with Gigantha, which means it's probably most likely a Tron deck as well. We're gonna keep anyway. And she'll see. Yeah, the other possibility is Soulscar Mage. Alright. So this probably has to be a basic. And I think I'm fine with just a mountain here. So Gigantha, like, that's a real problem here with these companions. That still, there are a couple of decks in Modern that just fulfill the requirements by accident. And of course that's still unfair to others. It just is. Alright. So it could be something mono red prison style that is just trying to pump Soulscar Mage or Monastery Swift Spear in some fashion. By him playing Gigantha, we know they do not play Bedlam Reveler, which is interesting as well. So I think I'm just gonna go with the Jace here because I typically would be going with the Jace, but I have to play around the Blood Moon here. Just in case. Burst Lightning, Labrador, Lightning Bolt, alright. Abbot of Carol Keep. Alright. So I guess, yeah, this is a mistake. because now he cannot save the Abbot. Otherwise, though, if he did it the other way around, he would have been able to. So I could play the Watergrave tapped. I think that's the best play here. Just go with the Bone Crusher Giant, kill the Abbot of Karakeep. And then next turn, play the Bone Crusher. Save a little bit of life. And of course, like he has not a single card that's a problem though. That is a problem. Because that thing also has prowess. And I won't be able to really get around that. He has to cast multiple spells on my Bone Crusher Giant first, of course, but if I was just to go with a K command here, that would not be great. Alright. So Bone Crusher, he won't be able to do anything this turn, but will be able to do something next turn, which will probably enable me to kill the Hearthfire Mortal the turn after, unless he sacrifices like 2 mountains. So we're gonna block anyway, even if it costs our Bone Crusher Giant, because he has to go up above 4 toughness, which means he has to cast 3 spells. And of course, we can still get our Bone Crusher Giant back with the Kolaghan's command as well. And this is one of the matchups that gets a little bit worse without Fail Push. In the main board, because otherwise that Thoughtseize would have been a Fail Push here. Alright. So now we can most likely force him to use his spells onto the in order to save the Hearthfire Emulator, and then I can follow up with a Jace, or just kill it down with the Bone Crusher Giant. That would also be a possibility. Okay, he chose to not do anything here. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with the Jace. If he wants to spend both Lava Darts to kill it, that is fine with me. And otherwise I have a Lodging Knot as backup. Alright. That is okay. That is okay. Alright, so we're going to start off with a Bone Crusher Giant of our own, to then counter his Bone Crusher Giant. And then I'm going to go with Seven Visions next turn. Bonecrusher Giant is definitely a card that is still underappreciated, both in paper and in digital form. Definitely a card that is seeing way more play than it is worth. Yeah, could attack right now and then sacrifice 2 cards, I guess. Let's start off with this Serum Vision since I can play the Tasker for 0. Oh, for 1. Torpid isn't bad. Cryptic Command is probably better right now. So I'm gonna go with Tasker. I'm gonna attack first. See if he blocks, does anything. No! Oh my goodness. Oh no. Oh no. Oh fuck no. Oh my goodness. I just clicked. Okay. One too many times here. Alright, so now I basically have to force the issue. That really sucks. Fuck. Otherwise I think we have him here. This is not really problematic. Shit. Okay, so we're only taking 3 damage, which leaves us with 4 life. Which isn't the worst. Oh, taking 1 damage only. Oh, Gigantha. Gigantha is coming. That's why. Alright. I see. So Gigantha costs 5 mana though. Oh my goodness, it would have been so great if we just went the other way here. Fuck. What does... It's a 5/5. Yeah, I'm just gonna play everything and leave the Cryptic Command up. Get the Creeping Torpid here. Yeah, that's fine as well. That is fine as well. So that top. Play this. Play the Jace. Play the Tasker. Because you can only play the... Oh, shouldn't do that. My goodness. Okay. Now we got there. Because he can only play the Gigantha if he draws another land. If he doesn't draw another land, then our Tasker should stonewall him. Alright, another Swift Spear. Might be suiciding both, just to get a little bit of damage through. Doesn't do that though. Alright, that is actually pretty neat for us, because I think I can now attack with everything, and he has to block. Otherwise I can just flip the Jace and finish the game. Yeah, and this is fine because I have 2 ways here. Like, even if he draws another 1/3 Swift Spear, I still have enough ways of protecting myself. Just concedes. And for these kinds of matchups, like Tasker and Bonecrusher Giants really make these matchups better. Like, one really feels it. Alright, so we want to have Collective Brutality, I want to have Ether Gust. And then want to have failed push. Cryptic Command is actually not super great here for a variety of reasons. There's almost no burn spell that is worth countering for 4 mana, and we should be able to deal with the other cards in different fashions. Gigantha, of course, is a little bit of an issue, but we still have Drownloch and Terminate, plus potentially an Aethergus or something to deal with that as well. On the draw, I could have also gone with the Crater Maker over... Nope, that's not a keep. With the Crater Maker over... My goodness. Alright, we're gonna keep, despite a lack of red sources, but if our opponent's coming in with a Blood Moon, then that changes anyway. Only one land? Only one land would of course be great. Okay. Alright. So I have to... Yeah, I have to shock it here anyway. No, I could also go with a Collective Brutality. And then with a Lodging Out, I guess. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go 2 and have a look at our opponent's hand as well. And then next turn I do have Drownloch plus Lightning Bolt. Oh. There's another Monastery Swift Spear as well, so we can get rid of all of his threats in a swift fashion, and he will either have to not use the relic draw a light up the stage off the top. That's probably the best card that he could have possibly drawn here, despite not getting more stuff there. Okay, so shock here. I could of course also go with a non-shock. Save 2 life. Just kill stuff with the Drownloch. No. Shock here. Take the other Swift Spear and kill that one with the Bone Crusher Giant. Of course, he could sacrifice his only land to the Lava Lord, but that is very unlikely, I guess. Okay. Yeah, so I think I'm going with a Tasker here. Before the Relic of Progenitus comes down. There you go. Hearth Fire Emulator. I guess I could have also just kept the Drownloch up, but yeah, he's actually struggling here and trying to keep up with our threats, which I like a lot. And now I'm just deploying the Bone Crusher Giant because if he wants to actually deal with it, he probably has to cast his own. That means that... Okay. Does have a couple of lava darts, but nothing else really. So I'm gonna attack first. Keep up my counter magic, since he does not have the Relic of Progenitus yet. And then if he does anything, I will kill the Soul Scum Mage in response. And if he does not do anything, like for him it's really tough to deal with the Bone Crusher Giant now, because the Lava Darts are so fucking bad against it. It's targeting me? Okay. Does not sound reasonable, but alright. Yeah, no clue what he's doing. Light up the stage. Right, so I'm gonna counter that. No, I'm not gonna counter. Well, he could draw a mountain and something else, of course. No, I'm not gonna draw counter that. It's nothing really scary. And he loses next turn anyway. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, he has conceded. Alright. We are getting up there. Done with round number 3 and off to round number 4.
Alright, welcome to round number 4. We're on the play and we're gonna keep, we have decent turn 2s. No turn 1 play. Yeah, Bogles, man. Not so great. Opponent's taking a little bit of time here, finding a solution to his hand problem. Either deciding on another mulligan or which card to shove. By the way, it's been 1 year now that we've implemented the London mulligan over the Vancouver mulligan. And despite, of course, being an overall, I think it's still an overall good change for everybody. The problem only being that this was a little bit hasty, potentially. This has to be an island, of course. And should stop talking between. The problem, of course, that too many decks are very consistent right now, and decks that are really benefiting from the change, or for instance Eldrazi Tron, because they can basically mulligan to a broken start in either direction. Okay. Doesn't have mana yet, which is a little bit weird. I'm gonna go with the Jays a little bit later. I want to prevent Blood Moons and Clothers from coming down here first. And this helps me, of course, as well, because now I could also go just get rid of the Arbor Elf, but since it cannot produce red mana, it's not as high up on my list right now, and I can now keep up the Logic Knot. Yeah, there's a lot of pawns are running around on Magic Online these days. And it is single-handedly keeping down Titan decks. All right, that didn't work out well for our opponent. So Ether Gust, let's see. So Fail Push, no. Thoughtseize, yes. Plague Engineer, maybe. So I think he's seen a lot of islands, and basic lands in general might diverge him from like going all in on his Blood Moons. I think I'm still gonna cut the Cryptics here. Go with Plague Engineers instead. And Aethergus. It's a little bit safer. Phew. So I don't know. Like, yes, we do have a lot of not, but we don't have anything else to do. And the Jace is very likely gonna die. Alright, slightly better. Let's keep. Alright, so since we have double Thoughtseize here, I'm just gonna fetch for a basic swamp. Otherwise, there would have been a real consideration amongst the lines of fetching for a swamp hero for an island with that fetch. Alright, doesn't have. Yet still doesn't have the ability. Oh my fucking god. Like, all of these are really bad. But Aethergus can take care of the Clothis, therefore. I think I still have to go with the Stone Rain here. Very, very potent hand. If we draw a land, I can also get rid of the Arbor Elf first, thereby potentially stranding him on mana as well. So I don't necessarily think that Clothis, that Domri is a good addition to the deck, but in this case, of course, it's pretty good because it does provide additional mana each turn. Okay. Alright, so now the question is, so Cloth is coming down. Creature spells can't be countered. Okay, but he can still utilize it for everything. If I take Clothis, then Chandra is definitely gonna come down. If I kill the Arbor Elf here, then next turn I take the Chandra with the Thoughtseize, play the Creeping Torpid tapped, and then I have Clothis and Domri on the battlefield that I have to take care of somehow. And both ramp, which is a problem as well. But Chandra ramps as well, so I don't see a way around getting rid of the Arbor Elf here first. Alright, now it's becoming really annoying. This Chandra Chandra. Planeswalkers. Still not well designed, to be honest. So now I can counter the Clothis, so that's good. And then the next turn I can potentially put back. What is this? Target creature you can fight as a creature. Okay. Definitely need to get rid of the Chandra as well. Alright, he does have enough mana now, so we don't really have to play around that anymore. Creature spells can be countered, but Clothis on the stack isn't a creature spell. Force, okay. Yeah. So we were able to get rid of that. LOL? Oh fuck. Oh my goodness. Yeah, on the stack it is a creature spell. Oh my god. And then as soon as it's on the battlefield, of course, it's an enchantment. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's go to game 3. This won't work out. And does have a still rain as well. So I could, of course, get rid of the Chandra here. But that leaves the Clothis. It's just too much stuff here. So lots of Stone Rain. Lots of fucked up shit, to be honest. Very, very annoying. Indeed. I think I would like to have as many current spells as possible in this matchup. But I also need threats. I don't know if my opponent is actually playing Season Pyromancer here. It seemed to be a lot more creature heavy in his build. We've only seen it for one game, of course, but still. I feel like I need life gain. And I need more threats on the battlefield. Therefore, I'm gonna go with this. Because Domri is not typically an inclusion in these types of decks. And since Clothis is somewhat taxing my graveyard, Maya Triton gives me a little bit of leverage on both fronts. Like gives me additional resources in the graveyard, plus a little bit of life gain, plus a threat on the battlefield. Just overall, it's pretty decent. Okay, turn 2 Maya Triton. It's fine, I think. Keep. We don't. Like, we took out the Bone Crusher Giant. Of course, still need somewhat red. Pretty sure he's playing Blood Moon, but this needs to be an island. No matter what. Due to the Aether Gust. Okay. Tar Pits. to the bottom, Scalding Tarn to the top, so that we draw the Scalding Tarn, have either a red source or another island, depending on what our opponent's doing. Okay, Utopia Sprawl means that most likely we're going to be hit by a Stone Rain or something on turn 2, which means I'm going to put a creature onto the battlefield, gain a little bit of life, protect what I have available to myself. Would have been perfect if we hit a creature here, of course, for the K command, but I think it's still fine this way. Maya Triton, while not being the most potent card in terms of dealt damage, of course, it does, like, you can see how versatile it is, right? It does provide on a lot of fronts, and that's pretty good. Right, let's see if it's gonna be a Blood Moon. Alright, Lich. So that's 3 cards in his bin, which means I am gonna go with the Water Grave here again. And then try to counter the next cards that he's going to play. Okay. Oh. Motherfucker. Alright, so now we shall see. So first I'm gonna attack with the Maya Triton here. See what our opponent does. Like if he blocks, I'm very happy with the trade. But I assume that he's not going to block. I mean, he does have 4 lands, so maybe it doesn't really matter. Okay. So one of the plays that we have access to is of course going with the K command, killing the Arbor Elf. But we can also just have a look here at what he's doing and then decide on whether or not we want to kill the Arbor Elf or not. It's another Arbor Elf and a Lightning Bolt and a Deals of Calamity. Whenever Deals of Calamity deals 6 or more damage to an opponent, destroy target land that player controls. Alright, so he needs to have the other Arbor Elf for that to like do anything. It does have Trample. But the trigger won't work if I block with my Mire. So I could get rid of the Lightning Bolt here, of course. But that would, of course, also not make a whole lot of sense, I think. So 1, 2, that's 6 mana. He only needs 5, so he also does have the mana for Lightning Bolt to kill my Triton. But it's also 5 mana. Yeah. I think I'm gonna get rid of that. Put this one on the battlefield. Pass a turn. Have him play it. We have 5 cards in the bin. Counter the god, which of course Deus stands for. Probably one of the early god cycles here. I've never seen it, but and the only thing that really wrecks us here is or would be. He's thinking about it. He knows that we could have a counterspell here. Yeah, I think it's too juicy for him to pass up on. I could also let it resolve and then kill it afterwards, since it doesn't have an enter the battlefield trigger. So, interestingly, he's not actually going with the lightning bolt on my Maya Triton. Alright, there you go. So now we have to figure out what's more important here. Is it more important for us to get back the Maya Triton to just apply additional pressure, gain a little bit of life, have something enter our graveyard? Probably not though, right? It wasn't a land whatever you drew there, so fuck. Yeah, I want to maintain the Ether Gust for a potential Blood Moon. Therefore, I'm just gonna go discard and deal 2 damage. I think that's good enough for now, right now. Yeah. Good choice. Good choice. Blood Moon. Even worse. Great. Oh my goodness. Pretty fucked up. I'm gonna fetch the Steam Vents. And hope that we're gonna hit something good. Alright, so the play is Jace out, pass turn, then he's gonna go tick it down, targeting his own Bloodbraid Elf, which I will in response Ether Gust. He's gonna put it back on top, but my Jace is going to survive, which means I can go Kolaghan's Command, kill the Domri, get back my Maya Triton. Alright. So I know what's coming up on top. And either I'm gonna go and draw into a land like this, or I'm gonna draw into a Snapcaster Mage, which would also be okay. I think. Okay, so I can still figure it out afterwards. Like, I'm gonna do that first. A Tasker might actually be better. Especially because I can do multiple things at once now. Okay, cool. So if I go K commands, return the Maya Triton. Kill that. That's still a good play. I don't have access to the Maya Triton this turn, but I do have it next turn. I gain a little bit of life, which is important. And we shall see what is going to happen with the... So Inquisition I don't want to have. Most of this is fine. I think Donald Loch is important. Seven Visions I want to have access to, so yeah, I'm just gonna go with this. And pass the turn. So now Tasker can really apply pressure on the battlefield. Comes all down to what the Bloodbraid will find here. Stone Rain. It's not great, but it's also not super devastating for us. Like Maya Triton can still be played, whatever. We don't have any cryptic commands that we would need more 4 mana for, and it doesn't apply any pressure. Also, the Jace checks the Bloodbraid out for the most part, so well, that's not super great. At least not right now. Okay. A couple of non-land permanents, especially the Kalitas is good here. Brazenborrow would have been a great hit off the top, of course, but Kalitas is the only card that we currently cannot play. So we've already milled over a Steam Vents, or got a Steam Vents and a Warrior Grave and a Blood Crypt destroyed. So we shall see another one. Obstinate Baloth. Oh, motherfucker. Oh, you motherfucker, you. I mean, both can't get rid of, or... Okay, cool. That's also cool. Alright, so Keikoman would be important. Therefore, I think I'm going to put that to the top. The Lightning Bolt can stay. I will just keep it there. And then we can decide later on if I want to have it or not. Does it change anything? I don't think so. I'm still going to hit the Obstinate Baloth. Reason being that if my opponent hits a Bonecrusher Giant, he could still kill my Tasker. That's not possible now anymore with the Obstinate Baloth, but I could also, of course, just block with the Maya Triton there. Yeah, I'm not gonna attack. Alright, cool. Come to round number 1. We are on the draw. And we shall see what our opponent's playing here. Bringing to the table. I think I'm going to start off with the Torpid, then I have a clean Fatal Push and Thought Scour play. Could be a Croxa build, but we shall see. I do have access to Cling in the Dust again. But our opponent's not doing anything here, which is a little bit awkward. Magus of the Moon. Yeah, I don't really care about that. I'm gonna target myself here a little. That's even better. Alright, perfect. We hit all non-lands here, which is a little bit awkward. We are recording, yes. Okay, so our opponent might be on taxes. Yeah, I think he's on Texas here. Um, I'm gonna kill the give. All right. Oh yeah, it's all right. Now I know what it is. It's the Snoop Texas list. Interesting, interesting, interesting. All right, so we're gonna go kill the giver, kill the magus. Go to our turn. Play the Bone Crusher and kill the Snoop before he draws a card, of course, because otherwise you can save it with Restoration Angel. Goblin Matron. Alright, yeah, I don't know if it's a Goblin Texas list or it's a Texas Goblins list, but it apparently does feature the combo of Goblins, but also has a couple of Texas elements in it. So Conspicuous Snoop is in there again, but we do have quite a bit of removals still. The only thing here is if he does have another land, then I probably have to do multiple spells at once in one turn. Because I could, of course, just let's hit him here. Okay, that is actually quite good. That's neat. Because now I can, of course, block or counter the angel. I don't assume, like, typically one of the strengths of goblins versus a control deck is that they do have a lot of counter evasion through both Ether Vial and Cavern of Souls, but I guess if it's like playing so many different things, then you may only cast Goblin spells at the top. Alright, so Boggart Harbinger is going to fetch out a Kikijiki. I'm gonna let him put it on top. Oh, another Conspicuous Snoop. Interesting. So apparently he doesn't think that this is gonna survive, which I think is fair. Oh yeah, I'm gonna let that hit me. That's fine. And then so keep the Brazen Borer and the Drone Lot back up. Just in case. Potentially I should have gone with the Snapcaster Mage here, but I want to keep my options as open as possible. Also, we've already put him down to 9, which means like he doesn't have a land on top, therefore he can't utilize Conspicuous Snoop and Resto Angel at the same time. Right, there's a Cling to Dust. Not super important right now, but still a card that we do have access to. good thing is that I don't think there are any lords in his deck list here. Which means that a like sideboard Plague Engineer is probably, if we get it onto the battlefield and name goblins, that's probably almost always GG. So he's dead either way unless he has a removal spell there. So I think I'm just gonna... Okay. Never mind. I could have, of course, just killed the Goblin Matron. Now we have to wait another turn. It's not a big deal. But I could have played around the Tarfire, of course. Alright. So I want to have Goblin Crater Maker. I want to have this. I want to have this. Cling to Dust isn't the greatest here. Brazen Borer is okay, but it's also not super great. Jace on the draw, I think I'm also gonna cut, as well as Logic Knot. Well, I'm gonna cut these, go with this, and bring in Ether Gust. Alternatively, I could also just go with Thoughtseize here, because he is apparently going a little bit over the top with Restoration Angel, etc. But on the draw, we might also just be caught by a very aggressive hand here. Hand's good though. I will have multiple removal spells, I guess. Alright. Give off runes. Since we're not playing cryptics now, I'm just gonna fetch for black and red. Okay. Thalia is a little bit annoying, and not gonna lie. But on the other hand, now we get to play Maya Triton. Oh, 2k commands, that actually hurts. Or maybe we find a Snapcast image faster this way. Oh, Kiki Jiki on top? Oh my goodness. Yeah, so we definitely have to kill the conspicuous Snoop right now. Otherwise, he would just combo us. In his upkeep. Yeah, we don't have anything important in hand right now. Alright, doesn't have another conspicuous Snoop, which is important to know. And we're gonna put him down. Ooh, and this might actually be more important. Yeah, I think so. Alright. We're gonna go with the Jace here and target ourselves with the Thought Scour. The other The other direction we could have taken here is, of course, going with Bone Crusher Giant, just playing the Tar Pit tapped, and then really crushing in next turn, because we will at least have one more turn. But this is the safer play all around, unless, of course, our opponent does have some sort of removal again. Does have Sling Gang Lieutenant as well. Interesting. Okay, so let's target ourselves. Alright. So now it depends. I don't have access to another black source, otherwise I could go with Terminate and Fatal Push to get rid of both. But we could also just take the Jace, kill the Sling Gang with a Fatal Push. Because I don't really want to fetch here, right? And then play the Bone Crusher. That would be a good opportunity, especially because the Kiki-Jiki then doesn't have a good target on the battlefield to hit. Alright, let's do that, I think. Yep. Next turn we still have the Terminate to fix whatever we have to fix. And we have to kill the Sling Gang, of course, because that card is just really annoying, both in terms of racing, but also for the combo itself. Okay, Bone Crusher. Yeah, and then against these small goblins, Maya Triton is of course not great. It is pretty good though against like, well, that actually hurts. That actually hurts. Wow. Okay. So now we have to hope. Alright. So next turn we have the Jace again. So I can focus down the conspicuous Snoop here. I'll attack with the Bone Crusher Giant and see what he does. If he tries to like triple block or whatever, alright, which he doesn't do, then it's fine. I'm just gonna have a look at what he's going to draw this turn. Restoration Angel, oh my goodness. Alright, so, but he cannot play that, right? He may cast Goblin spells, yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, now we have him. And I think he knows. So I haven't played against this deck at all before, but to me it doesn't look like it does have a lot of upgrades to it. So I think I wanted. That doesn't really matter, right? I can just kill him. If I go kill the Thalia, he has to block with the Snoop, which basically is the same, so it's fine. Jace can then take care of a goblin, and then the Kikijiki doesn't do anything anymore. Yep. GG's. Alright, welcome to round number 3. We are already on mulligan here. Now we're gonna keep. And I think we are, with our opponent with a false scar, but still, I think this gives us the most play. The most options. So if this is Dredge again, I'm gonna freak out. Probably Dredge. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh. Playing against Scape Shift. Here, of course, it is actively... Like, they want to have as many resources as possible, and they're down by 3 cards. And also we do have a couple of good sideboard options. Aethergast, Ashiok, and Fulminator Mage all are pretty decent in this matchup. Dryad of the Elysian Grove. Okay, but this means that... Let's see. Of course, if his last card in hand is a Primeval Titan, and he finds another green land off the top, because I can't counter it right now. I think I'm going to Fetch Shock here for a Water Grave to give us more options down the road. Okay. That's a little bit annoying because I was intentionally not... Oh man, yeah, that's really, really annoying. Not cracking the Jays so I have an additional draw next turn. But Fatal Push here would of course been perfect if I flipped the Jays. But anyhow. I could also play the other Jays to maintain the Drowning Loch. Because that's probably very important. Alright, so I'm going to ditch the Lightning Bolt. I'm going to play the Jays. Keep the Jays. Kill the Dryad. This is not the most efficient play, but is the best play that we have at our disposal. In order to keep... Oh my goodness. Okay. Alright, alright, alright. So his last card is indeed not a Titan, not Escape Shift, and also not anything else that we have to take care of. Cling to Dust at some point can also be very good, but of course I'm gonna ditch it here. And go for... a Thought Scour. I don't mind if he's not cracking and just attacking me. I want to play the Brazen Borer, that's why I'm making this play right now. And I'm going to target my opponent to potentially hit Valakuts or Primeval Titans, like there. Which is very important. Like, the fewer threats he does have access to, the better for me. Now he has enough cards in the graveyard for me to counter anything with Drowning Loch, and I can apply pressure with both Bone Crusher Giant and Brazen Borer. Plus, I draw extra cards with Cling to Dust, which is also neat. A good situation to be in. As long as I have these options, I'll make these plays because I get ahead along Escape Shift, good hit, with Brazen Borer and Jace as well. I'm gonna go with Blood Crypt here. Torpid is also a good hit. And next turn I can start hitting lightning bolts with the Jace. Actually, we have lethal next turn. Attacking 7 on the battlefield plus a lightning bolt plus the creeping torpid is GG. Okay. Ah, he doesn't know. Okay, so now we have to actually kill him. Alright. So we have a lot of dead cards. So I want to have this, my Triton for a little bit of life gain in between, this, and this. Jace is good, but not great, as is Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt doesn't kill anything. Fatal Push needs to stay due to due to Dryads, because I have to get rid of it whenever it comes down. I think I could potentially cut one and go with another Thoughtseize instead, and then cut the Jaces. Potentially cut one Bone Crusher and Maya Triton is really good as a blocker or attacker against Dryad of the Legion Grove. I think I'm going to cut a Kolaghan's Command here. Now we've given up a lot of our velocity. Like, we can't turn the corner as fast anymore. But on the other hand, almost any card that we are drawing some sort of disruption or hate card or threat, which is also pretty decent. Huh. So I'm expecting a lot of Veils of Summers here. But the matchup itself isn't good anyway, so we shall see. Ashiok is our most important card. Aethergus is somewhat of one of our aces. And then Fulminator Mage is just there to get rid of Valakuts or Fields of the Dead once they entered the battlefield already. I had a friend who was playing Scapeshift a lot, and whenever we went to GPs, we would play beforehand and test. And it was always a pretty close matchup, but yeah, with Dryad and Field of the Dead, and Veil of Summer as well, the matchup has really flipped. Okay, I think I can keep this. So this potentially a turn 2 or turn 3, depending on turn 3. Turn 3 Tasker, unless we draw a Thought Scour. Then we can also do it on turn 2. But at that point we also have to set for tomorrow. So this is actually, I mean, this is one of the best. Oh, good. That's very good. Right, so Summoner's Pact, Dryad, Primeval Titan. I think Titan is the natural pick here, although the Dryad will of course come down turn 3, but we cannot really get rid of the Titan otherwise. And we potentially could get rid of the Dryad, and we can also block with the Tasker. Right, so I'm gonna get rid of the Titan here. And then when our Asha comes down, I expect my opponent to go for the Titan play there. Alright, Cinderglade actually come down there. Okay. Is there anything that I want to do differently here due to my Triton? I don't think so. We're just gonna take one hit with the Ashok because we don't have another option here. He should be running out of lands pretty early though. So now the Dryads come down. We shall see if he does have more lands. Alright, Castle and Brick. Okay. Now I have to fetch Shock. It hurts a little, but have to do it. And then I'm just gonna keep the Ashok here at 5 to potentially also take 2 hits off of that Dryad. But then I can go with the Maya Triton, put a couple of extra cards in the bin. And also go with a Tasker there. I think that's good. Gives us a little bit of life back. Hit 2 lands, which I would have loved to have in hand as well. So I guess almost anything but a bolt is fine. Alright. Let's have a look at his hand first. Search for tomorrow's Scapeshift, Summoner's Pact. Which is the... Yeah, so I have to take the Scapeshift here. Reason being that I can counter the Summoner's Pact at any given point in time. So I would love to attack with the Dryad, with the Tasker, and I think I'm gonna do that. I can bounce the Dryad if necessary because he has to have a removal for the Maya Triton anyway first. Okay, so just these two cards in hand, which is fine. And I'm just gonna bounce it here. Then I can decide next turn if I want to counter or not. So card's not bad per se, but I currently don't need the Fulminator Mage, I just need the lands. Okay, no other play. And there we go. So now it's over anyway. Can still keep the... No, he has to block. I could have also attacked with the Torpid here as well. That would have been exactly lethal. But I don't think that we can lose from this position. Alright, GG's.